Welcome to the July meeting of MAW. I'm Elizabeth Hargrave, and I'm going to do a quick set of club news tonight and a few Fungi in the News articles. April Thompson, our culinary chair, has a few culinary tidbits. John Harper's going to do the virtual ID table tonight. Megan Romberg, our club science advisor, is going to talk about Jillian Loudon, a mycologist that she thinks is worth knowing. And then our main presentation starting around 8 will be Arturo Casadevall talking about his new book that just came out called What If Fungi Win? A few upcoming events for you. July 19th, we've got a walk scheduled at Cunningham Falls. Is that Matt? That's Matt
right.
Cohen leading that one, in conjunction with the park. They invited him up last year and again this year to do a mushroom walk. We'll see if we get any rain between now and July 19th. It's been really dry out there. And then at the end of July, we've got an annual picnic tradition going now. So July 28th out at Carteret this year. It's a new location for us. So we'll do potluck and maybe a chopped competition. More to come from
Not
April on
maybe,
that.
it's a yes.
Okay, I hadn't heard that. Just showed up in my notes. And then August 6th is our next monthly meeting. It's always the first Tuesday of the month. My slide's not working. Here we go. So upcoming weekend forays, we're really starting to get close to weekend foray season. The middle of August is the West Virginia foray out at Blackwater Falls State Park, Davis, West Virginia. And then our club's weekend retreat is Labor Day weekend up in Jennerstown, Pennsylvania. We have opened registration for this now. If you are a member of MAW, you should have gotten an email about it. If you haven't, reach out to us at info@mawdc.org and we can get you straightened out. But that's always a great time. It does fill up. We've got space for about 100 people. So go ahead and get registered if you're planning to come to that. And then a few forays going into the fall. There's a foray named after Gary Linkoff that's in September up in the Pittsburgh area. NEMF has their annual foray this year in the middle of October, up on Cape Cod. And then the North American Mycological Association foray is in Washington State this year at the end of October, beginning of November. It's later than usual, but I guess that's a good season in Washington. And registration for that also just opened. You do need to be a member of NAMA. I believe you get a discount on your NAMA membership if you are a member of MAW. And it's pretty inexpensive to join NAMA, and then you can go pay to go to the foray. All right, I've got some fungi in the news. There were a couple of New York Times articles in the last month. I think this one was about how some parks are starting to restrict foraging on public lands more than they have. Most national parks ban commercial foraging in general, but about 3/4 of them allow personal foraging. That is not true at our local national parks like Rock Creek Park, which completely bans taking anything out of the park. But a lot of national parks do allow you to take mushrooms for personal use. But this article in the New York Times was about how several parks are changing their rules and having lower limits on what you can take out of the park. Because they are concerned about climate change changing the healthiness and robustness of fungi and everything else in the parks. And also because more people are interested in foraging, so they're worried that they need to be sort of limiting what each individual is taking out to stay on top of demand, and not get out of whack. There was an article in Wired that's kind of a profile of the mushroom collection at Kew Gardens. They have 1.3 million fungal specimens in their collection. So this is worth checking out if you want to read a little bit more about what their fungarian is like. It said that they get about 5,000 new specimens each year, and they're stored in these shelves and drawers. So that was kind of a fun read. The New York Times, the other article I saw it in there this month was this piece was almost like a photo essay about the Sonoma County Mycological Association's annual Foray, which has an emphasis on DNA sequencing. Alan Rockefeller was there, and other folks that are really involved in collecting DNA from mushrooms. So it said their club has sequenced 21,000 samples this year, which I thought would be of interest to folks who are following our club's attempts to start sequencing mushrooms. We're way behind that kind of level. So it's mostly a photo essay, but some interesting little tidbits about that club and what they've been up to. And tangentially related to that, Scientific American ran an article a couple weeks ago about the concept of dark fungi, which are when folks are doing sampling of environmental DNA from the soil mostly, so they get a sample, they run DNA sequences, and they get tons and tons of organisms back that they do not know what they are, and many of them are fungi. So this is just a little excerpt from the article. It's saying every year researchers discover 2,000 new fungi where they actually know what it is. They've got a physical fruiting body that they're looking at. And then it's saying an eDNA study, these things where they're sequencing just everything in a soil sample, can find 10 times more species than that they don't know what they are. So they're calling them dark fungi. And one person here is saying that they've never seen an environmental sequencing study where they know what everything is, and usually it's at least 30% unknown species. They also talked about how just in the last couple of decades, there have been entirely new classes of fungi discovered. So classes like the level of mammals within animals, right? Like big groups of fungi that we're still uncovering through methodologies like this. All right. And then April had sent me something about a magazine that's going to be coming out this fall that she has a piece in called Mushroom People. So we'll send around the links maybe in the newsletter, or Tom will put them in the chat. I thought folks might be interested in taking a look at this. It's 208 pages worth of mushroom content. When she said that, it reminded me that a lot of newer folks in the club might also not know about Fungi Magazine, which comes out 5 times a year and offers subscriptions. So the other one is sort of a one-off thing, or infrequent, less frequent than this. And then Fungi Magazine, when it comes out, they have a nice calendar, and then here's sort of a table of contents for one thing. So it's a real range from deep dives on individual mushrooms, some history of mycology, some poetry, all kinds of stuff.